It's the Good Slate Late Show with your host, Graham Jones.
Hi, and welcome back to the Good Slate Late Show. My name is Graham Jones. I've been told that we are not affiliated with Telemundo today, but we do have our special guest, Justin Ortiz. Welcome in. Hi, and welcome back to the Good Slate Late Show. We have Justin Ortiz, our special guest today. Welcome in, Justin.
Thank you.
Oh, I am Graham Jones. Yes, this is Justin Ortiz, believe it or not. How's it going, buddy?
Blessed to be here.
Long
Thank you
time
for
no
having
see,
me.
man.
I know.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen you in so long. I had so much energy. I just had to show you.
Lots of energy. I actually don't even remember what happened, but here we are. And thanks for being here, brother.
Man, thank you for having me.
Yes. So, we know you come from the martial arts world, obviously. Tell us how you got your start in the martial arts industry and how that led you into the entertainment industry.
Well, I started martial arts when I was 3 years old. As soon as I was walking, basically, I was kicking. My father was my instructor in Shotokan Karate. That was my style. And I remember for my third birthday, my gift was a white uniform. And then he took my leg, he put it on top of the couch. And of course, when I'm 3 years old, I look like a skyscraper to me.
Right.
He put it on top of the couch and he said, "Hold it there, I'll be right back." And just left the room.
Just left you there.
And I'm there for 5-10 minutes shaking. And then I can remember, "Don't cry." And I was like, I'm trying not to. And then as soon as 5-10 minutes over, it felt like an hour to me. He took down the leg. He was like, "Good job." Grabbed my other leg, put it on top, and left the room. That was my first ever lesson.
We're doing it again.
But yeah, he was a huge fan of blood sport, kickboxer, used John Claude Van Damme.
You don't say.
So a lot of my training was very similar.
Actually.
And so that's why I was known for my kicking abilities and my nickname being Hot Foot.
Yeah.
When I was 15, I was fighting adults and I started traveling and beating people, well-known people, and making a name for myself, and got on some local teams, and then from there started getting on some big names, big teams, and just been ever since been traveling the world kicking and fighting. And then I started teaching seminars all over the world, and what brought me to Atlanta was actually I was running some martial arts schools here, helping manage them. And I remember watching Cobra Kai, and my friends, they're instructors, and they're like, "Hey man, that should be you. You should be on there." I was like, "You know what? You're right. You're right. I should be doing that." And then I also had a best friend named, Christopher. Not had. I still have.
Yeah. He's still alive.
He's still my best friend. Christopher York. He's a sweetheart. He's another martial artist, but he always told me I should be doing this. And he's like, "No, dude. When you decide to do this, you're gonna blow up." And I was like, I don't know. I'm into my martial arts world. I'm heavily known in it. And I was like, that's my thing. And I was like, that's your thing. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
But then watching Cobra Kai, and everyone's like, "Dude, you should be on that." And I was like, "Man, I need to be on something like this." Maybe they're right. And doing theater since I was in high school.
Yeah.
And being a martial artist, we always love to perform.
So you do have
anyways.
a theater background.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we love to perform anyways, being
Yeah.
martial artists. Our job is to sell in front of a crowd or to make it believable for the judges.
Yeah, you're an actor, for sure.
Right. So I was like, this is just translating from one industry to another and just using my advantages that I have in the martial arts and translating it to the stunt world. But I was like, yeah, maybe I'll try it out. And so, I remember going to a couple free visits and stuff and going, "Oh, this is kind of cool." And, a couple of them actually helped create things because of my martial arts background. And I was like, "Oh, this is actually fun." And Chris was like, "Yeah, I think you got a bug.
Yeah,
it's
catching on." Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, maybe."
You start to learn a little more every time. Yeah.
And then we hear there was an audition for Cobra Kai. And
Right.
they're like, "We need actual martial artists." And I was like, "Whoa, come on." I'm
we
an actual martial artist.
Yeah,
Let's go. Let's do this.
I'm in the state.
And I remember going to this audition, and funny when I look back on it, I realized how much I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, when I get there, they're like, all right, first thing you're going to do is you're going to slate for the camera, and then you're going to go there and do a minute of whatever you want. I was like, slate? What is that? I was like, I have no idea. What is a slate? And I'm watching people go, hi, my name is blah, 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 you know, this height, this weight. And I was like, okay, all right. An intro. All right.
Yeah.
I'll do an intro. So I do an intro. And I just remember doing a minute of whatever. I did a traditional form, and into my creative stuff, some flipping. I was like, because I know they want to see traditional martial arts,
Right.
you know, because watching the show, I'm like, I get their vibe. And I remember saying, hey, if we call your number, you just go home. And like they called a bunch of numbers, and half the people went home, and I was just like, I'm still here. And I was actually with my wife, Juliana Ramos Ortiz, which is also she's an amazing stunt woman right now, an actor as well. But you know, we're looking at each other like, wow, okay, we're here. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, we still made it.
And they're like, all right, let's see your best recs. Give me your 3 best recs. And I'm just looking at her, and we're looking at each other like, what's a rec? And they're like, I have no idea. And I'm seeing people do things, and I'm like, it's a break fall. Okay, what we call martial arts a break fall. They're just break falling, but they're making it look realistic, and they're adding a little spice to it. And I was like, okay, I can add some spice to my break falls and make it look like I'm hurt and get up and be okay. So yeah, let me try. And I remember trying, like doing my break falls, but doing it in a way that was like a little bit spicy.
Right.
And I was like, hopefully that works. I was like, all right, if I call your number, you know, you go home.
You're just winging it.
I'm winging it. Yeah. And half of them went home, and I was like, oh, we're still here. All right, we're doing something right. And they're like, all right, so we're going to go and we're going to do some choreo now. We're going to teach you some choreo, and you're going to perform it in front of the coordinator, who at the time was Hirokora.
Right.
And I was like, oh, man, choreo must be short for choreography. So I assume we're going to learn how to do a fight scene and perform in front of okay, all right, let's do it. Let's go. I was like, you know, if I know what I'm good at, it's fighting. I was like, but I know I can perform. And before getting in there, you know, learning the little bits that I did, I understand that whatever I do, I just had to make it big and sell it, you know, for whoever's watching or for the camera. I was like, okay, so let me just get a little bit of knowledge of what I have, and then, you know, watch whatever they're doing and study exactly what they're doing to see if I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm watching John Chiangari. He was showing the choreo, and
he did. This was season 3, right?
Yeah, this is the end of season 2. This is for season 3.
Yeah.
And I'm watching him do the choreo. I'm studying everything. I'm looking at his feet. I'm looking at his hand position. I'm looking at his face. I'm just looking at everything head to toe, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do exactly that.
Yeah.
Just got to do exactly that. This is what they want. And you know, I'm doing it, and you know, we're having fun. And then Jules and I was like, hey, what if we add little like character moments into this, and you know, and
stand out a little.
Yeah, stand out a little. So we did. And I remember at the end, we got like a big round of applause, and we were like, whoa, like nobody was clapping for anyone. And then we got a round of applause. We're like, whoa, okay, we did something, right?
We do.
And I was like, okay, all right. And I was excited. I was like, you know, I was waiting for that moment, like, here's your golden ticket. You're going to Hollywood.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, guys, go home. And if we want to use you, we'll
Good
call
job
you.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, what do I do from here?
It's never what you expect.
Oh, my God. No, never. And I'm sitting at home, like, you know, this is.
Yeah. Like, when are they going to call?
A few weeks go by. Weeks. I'm like, maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I don't have it.
Second guess yourself.
Started second guessing like right away. Like I just started and I'm already second guessing. And I was like, okay. And then I get a text from Mark Enrizato, who's funny enough, like growing up in the martial arts world, you know, we were on the same team, T. Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
You know, I looked up to him as far as a martial artist. And I even used to be the head instructor of his father's school in Orlando.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we had some connections. So he was excited to see me, and he was like, hey, I'm excited to give you this news. Hito wants you for Ozark. Oh, and I was like, Ozark?
I didn't audition for that.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, I didn't audition for Ozark. I was like, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I just remember my first ever job. I had to kick open the door, and I'm shooting a Uzi with blanks, and we had these squibs going off the pews and going off the glasses shattering and breaking. And I remember my earplugs in. And I'm going, this is awesome.
You see you in the frame.
Yeah.
Like, well, he's going a little hard.
I wish you could, but like we spent so long, and this is like the first reality check I got about stunts is like you spend so long on creating this world and so many cool moments, and then it ends up like 3 seconds on TV, and you're like, I barely saw it.
We did that for 12 hours.
Yeah.
That was 12 seconds.
Right.
Yeah. What happened?
But that was my first ever experience. But that's basically how like, and it's cool because like he don't go to, I'm grateful for him. He got me tapped in, and he was also a martial artist on Team Metro, which was a very world renowned team in sport karate. So it was kind of cool that was my in, and this
that's a really good.
My martial arts was what got me to this point, and then even now, like now I'm starting to fight coordinate things. It just it's
still helping you today.
Always been helping me and always gave me advantage, but learning as much as I can, and then keeping that martial arts mentality. Always stay a white belt, always learning, always trying to gather a lot of information. That's what's been guiding me to become the person I am in stunts.
Oh yeah. How is it like juggling the entertainment industry with your wife, who's also in the industry? What's the hardships, I guess, in trying to work in the industry with your spouse who is also doing the exact same thing? So you're always gone.
Yeah. Oddly enough, it works out really well.
Yeah.
She's amazing. So we always support each other, and we always like try to lift each other up and make sure that we expect the best from each other.
Right.
But when it comes to working, like, it's funny, like we didn't work starting off with, like, we never got like the same jobs
together. Yeah.
And then last year, all of a sudden, we're working a lot of jobs together.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because like the dynamic of like, if she's in the room or I'm in the room, we're also putting, I'm putting her name in, she's putting my name in, and just kind of helping, meet new people through each other.
Right.
Which is great. So it helps.
Yeah, with
helps
the
us
networking,
both with
for
networking.
Sure. Yeah.
But as far as like working in general, or like right now she's in Miami, I'm here in Atlanta. Like there's a little bit time, like little distance and a little time away from each other. It can be a little hard, but sometimes a little time apart's good because we kind of miss each other. And we're like, all right,
you need that time.
You kind of do.
That's why it's hard, I guess, when you're working on set together, like all day, every day. You go home, you see each other on set. You're just like always together.
Right.
But your characters though on Cobra Kai, let's talk a little bit about them. You had some pretty important moments in the newest season.
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
How did that come about?
So yeah,
you had to audition, right?
So the cool thing was I did it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is the guy.
So Don Lee, this is a funny story because Jules had to.
Yeah.
I did it. And I'm like,
hey, got one up on you.
Yeah, right. So I remember being at it was Action Craft Gym, Danny Boyer's gym, and Don Lee shows up, and he has us all like line up, and they're like, all right, they want to see these recs, they want to see these reactions, they want to see these flips, whatever, they want to see these kicks. Like he's just watching everyone, and we're going down lines, giving it my all. And he calls, he's like, hey, I want Justin Ortiz and Ivan John to stay with me, and like come over and talk to me.
Nice.
And we're like, oh, cool. I kind of knew what he was there for, but I was like, hey, this is awesome. So I go over there and we're talking. He goes, hey, do you guys mind staying and building some fights with me? I was like, absolutely, 100%.
Clear the schedule.
So after we did that, we built these fights, and it was so cool because it was like, a really cool moment, and like knowing like what this is for. I'm like, I know I have an idea what this is for. We're creating some cool moments, and he looks at me and goes, I'm picturing like this bad boy, Spanish, like Mexican hawk.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could picture that too. I was like, I could be that for you. And he was like, hey, how, like, do you do a good Spanish accent? I said, Bobby, no problem. I can do a Spanish accent, no problem. He's like, are you okay with acting and dialogue? Absolutely, I've done it before, and I don't mind it. I love it actually. I don't mind being in front of camera. And he knows I can fight, and he knows my background, and he's like, yeah, and I'm picturing this Mexican hawk. I'm gonna pitch it to the writers. And he did. And literally the character Diego was like built around me, which was so cool.
That's awesome.
And then the next like week or so, I'm at this martial arts school, and we're doing this audition for other people for Cobra Kai.
Right.
And he has us two there to show them the fights that we created.
Oh shit.
And in the audience was Jules. And I was like, ha! And she didn't know. I didn't know that she was gonna be there. I didn't know. Like we're looking at each other like,
hold up.
That was a super funny moment. We were like, she was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what are you doing?
It's like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith moment.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, you're auditioning, huh? She was like, yeah. I was like, well, I'm gonna show you what you're auditioning with. Which was hilarious. But she killed it. She did her thing.
Yeah.
And Dudley goes up to her. He's like, his vision. I'm picturing like Mexican hawk and like you, like the Spanish girl that kind of flirts with the boys to get them off their game, and then he comes in and just like annihilates them. And I was like, yeah, I love that. That's cool. And he's like, are you okay with her flirting? I was like, we're married.
Yeah.
We're married. Yeah. We're fine. We're good. We're secure with our love life.
Yeah.
But time goes by, and you're like, oh yeah, I just want to let you know, you got the part, Diego. Like they really want you to be that. I was like, yeah. And Jules is like, oh, I'm gonna get a call. I can't wait. She got nothing. Like weeks go by, and there's nothing. And she's like, hey, what is going on? And then they give her a call, like, hey, we want you to audition for this part, Maria. Which was hilarious because like this character, the way it was, it's like, and they had a few other people that are auditioning for it. They were auditioning for her role. Like this was her.
Yeah.
Like they made the role for her.
Right.
And then there was like, you got to audition for it. And I was like,
Which that's normally how it happens. It's very rare that you have somebody come to you and create a character.
That is true. Diego. That is true. But also, like, if you create a character based around this person, you're like,
you would just assume
it's yours.
Yeah. They had to do their due diligence, I guess.
They did, and I thought they were going to do that with me, but they didn't. They had to do that with Jules, which was funny. And of course, I'm like, haha. But she does audition, but it's hilarious because they first were like Mexican hawk, and then they had her do the audition in like a Brazilian accent. And when I'm telling you, she was studying like crazy, and she killed it. Like, do a Brazilian accent.
She did kill it, for sure.
She killed it. I was like, okay, cool. But then it was like, all right, now you guys are from Spain. And we were like,
wait, what?
Where are we? I just need to know where. I just need to know what I need to do with my accent. That's it.
On the fly.
But yeah, so she got the call, and it was to be Diego Maria on Cobra Kai, Furia de Pantera, the team, and be the home team, which was from
you guys absolutely crushed it. Yeah.
And it was so cool. It was a cool moment because like coming from season 3, just as a stunt guy, then coming back, as a stunt actor, and then literally creating this character and creating the moments for this character and the fighting, like that was cool. It was like a full circle moment for us.
Yeah. Are there any moments in the show that you can think of that we might not have gotten from the show? Any like cool behind the scenes moments that you can think? Any funny moments, What was your take on the show behind the scenes?
I mean, we had a lot of like cool fights built up. Like I had a fight that was gonna happen with Hawk, like Spanish Hawk versus the Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
And that got cut, and like there was other fights that got cut, and like even a big fight between Quan and I, like got reduced by a lot.
Right.
And it was just like, hey, we just got to tell a story. We need these moments, and we were like, oh man, but these are such cool moments.
Happens.
But we our job is to, at the end of the day, is to tell the story that's needed. So, and that's what we did. So, but there was just a lot of cool moments being with like the old karate kid crew, and being with the core team, But just a lot of funny moments, like people getting kicked in the face.
It
For real,
happens,
like
man.
it happens. Like
I can verify. It's sometimes it's just part of the business.
Yeah.
But no, man, I know you guys have been doing it for how many years?
for the stunts.
Stunts, yeah.
About 5-6 years,
Yeah, 5,
and
6 years. And to have a role like that, that's
honestly,
really
like
good.
when we started, it was like I got started, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
So
okay.
you take a long break.
I was like, okay, all right, let's get started again. Write a strike.
And then
strike. And I was like, all right.
Next year.
Right.
There's always next year.
But like, luckily, we've been working through it all, and
Yeah.
we've been staying busy. And again, that has to do with our skill set, but just our idea of like learning as much as we can. So we build off our skill sets and networking, and it just all comes from martial arts, which is cool. So.
No, man, that's awesome. You guys crushed it in the season. Are there any funny moments that we wouldn't get from the show? Give us a nice behind the scene moment.
Yeah, I think one of the funniest moments is, well, you don't really see it in the show, but there was like a moment where like, it was Miyagi-Do and Furio de Panteras were like square up against the Russians, and then we look at each other and we're like, all right, I guess we're gonna do this, and we start fighting them, and they kind of like switched it to like we go and save them, but I just remember like, the Spanish Hawk and Hawk, we always had these moments we're looking at each other and we're trying to make each other laugh and stuff, and we're like, like he looks like there's a line I say vos sigues, and he goes like vos sigues, with a Spanish accent, vos sigues, and I was like vos sigues, and then when we go, so it was just hilarious, and then
it's like
World
War
like
III.
Yeah, it's just that back and forth between like Hawk and I, like the moment they didn't even use this, but there was a moment where we all lined up and like he looks over, like we're hearing the announcer talk, and then I look at him and I'm like giving him the eye, and it was hilarious because he was looking at me, he was looking mean, and then he goes like this and looks away, and they go cut. Yeah, that was a great moment. That it felt real. He's like, it was real. He looked scary. He's like, dude,
I thought he was gonna kill me.
I just looked over, and then you're like, and he's like, in your nostrils, it has nose flare, and I do have like mean nostril flares. But he's laughing at me. He goes, dude, I thought you were gonna beat me up. 2, I thought I was gonna get sucked in by your nostrils. I was like, all right,
calm down, buddy.
Calm down, man. That was hilarious. And then I think a cool behind the scenes moment was like when I'm fighting Quan, and like we created this elaborate fight scene, and they made it short, and we were like, okay, it's fine. How do we make it impactful though? And I was like, all right, we're gonna do this triple kick that you haven't done yet in any of your fights.
Yeah.
I was like, let's do that. It's cool. I was like, and I'm gonna eat shit. I can say that. All right.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm gonna close. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna eat shit. I'm gonna eat shit on this one. He goes, oh, what kind of record are you gonna do? Like a double HK, or are you gonna cork it out? I was like, no. I was like, I'm just gonna take it. I'm gonna tombstone and hit the floor hard. I want this to make one. I don't want to take away from your kick.
Yeah.
Selling that story is important, right?
Oh yeah.
But also 2, I want people to go, oh.
Yeah. That's
and
a massive impact.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I take this shot, and if you see it, like I take it at tombstone, knee tombstone,
right to the day.
And like I have the behind the scenes, and like the whole crowd, like usually like at the end of they go, oh yeah, we love it, like yeah, you guys did it. But at the end, everyone was quiet. The director was like this, out of the seat. Even the coordinator, Ken was just like,
is he dead?
Quiet. and I remember they're like, cut. And like I'm just not like, all right, cut. Are you okay? And I get up, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And they're like, oh my god, no. I was like, you need another one? They're like, can you do another one? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it again. It was hilarious, but something like that. You did a good job.
Yeah. When everybody's
everyone's like, "Are you okay?" And we're like, "That's part of it. That's what we have to do, right?"
Yeah.
So yeah, that was cool.
No, man, you guys absolutely killed it. So tell us a little bit about some up and coming projects you have. What do you have coming up that you're working on? Also, tell us where we can find you on social media so everybody gets to know you a little better.
Superman's coming out in July. I was there. I also had a line on it.
Hey.
I don't know if it's gonna come out. Right? Like I had lines on Cobra Kai. Didn't show those.
Yeah. Might make it, might not.
Might make it, might not. But you know, we actually have I have a couple projects. One that are going to be hitting the film festival arena. One's called Family Business. The other one's called Contigo, which Family Business I directed.
Nice.
Contigo I stunt coordinated and second unit directed.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the goal. The goal is
Yeah,
to become. I want to be a director. You know, I love creating.
Yeah, that's
More
the-
than I even love
that's the
performing. I
long-term
love
goal.
creating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a movie that I can't say quite yet, but I'm gonna be fight coordinating. It's called. Wait, I can't say the name, but it might be in Trinidad. Just saying that is so doing some stunt coordinating in Trinidad, that would be cool. Yeah, so we got some projects to look forward to, and then you know, working Tulsa King. So,
Yeah, awesome, man.
that's awesome.
And you're on social media. You're on
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah, definitely Instagram at the Ortiz Experience, soon to be the OXB for professional wrestling. So
Hey,
catch me on that.
you can find him there.
That's right.
Well, thank you for coming in today, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for kicking me in the face.
Absolutely, anytime. Oh, my name is Graham. I'm a redhead. I have no soul.